everybody want to come up and get a QR code that gives you the presentation. So there are QR codes up here. You can just scan, and it'll take you to the presentation. Pardon me? I think, sure. Same thing.
Oh, okay.
If you don't have the app, the Eventi app, please come and get the QR code, which gives you the presentation. So same thing, makes your life easier.
In which case, I'll take it.
Exactly. Decide when you need this thing. Yeah.
Was something in Russian is a fired cat, and I can only translate the.
I think we're ready to start. I see you, it's not moving. Yes, I got it. You know what, sure, but don't knock down the QR codes. And you could put it like somewhere where it's, sure, you can. Also, this is going to be recorded, just to let you know. Oh, okay, sure. Okay, so put it like any one of these chairs, or so it does not things open. There you go. I don't want to knock those pictures. As we're waiting to start, you guys, come and get the QR codes for the presentation, so you can just scan it and you'll get your presentation link. Or you can use the Eventi, which has the presentation. All right, I think we have time. Hello, fellow authors. Welcome, welcome. This is the presentation which is called The Struggle is Real, Making a Living Off Less Than One Book a Year. And my name is Vera Nazarian, and I'm a full-time writer, eking a living doing this. And I'm a hybrid author, which means that I'm both indie and tradpub, but mostly I'm making my living off indie, self-publishing. I am a refugee, a double refugee, so if you notice a funny little accent, that's because English is not my native language, so some words may come out a little weird. And we're going to start, because there's so much material to cover with this, Get your QR codes, anybody who hasn't done that yet. That's the presentation. It's not up there. So it's on the web, and you can just take the QR code or go to Eventi, the app, and it'll give you the presentation to download from there. So we're going to go really fast because there's a lot of stuff to cover. First of all, making a full-time living off less than one book a year. Is that possible? Well, it kind of is, but let me tell you, it's not going to be a pretty living. So you're going to be making a very, very, maybe like a national average living. We're not talking about fancy, but you can handle it. You can survive. And I'm going to start with the takeaways first, and then we'll go into the case study of what I actually am doing. So we're going to go in the beginning of the presentation. The first takeaway is, please don't do it. Do not be me. If you can write more than one book a year, please, by all means, it is the best way to make money. In fact, what I do is I recommend that you put out 2 to 3 books, and that's a great, great balance type of level of output. But here's the part that makes it work. If you are going to do this, you need to have a backlist. So before you can attempt this type of really low output survival mode, you already have to have a certain background level backlist of other titles that are out there. And this is how it works. For example, you may have one series that's super popular. My series that's doing really well, that's keeping me up and making me pay the rent, is the Atlantis GRAIL series. Currently, it's 4 books plus 2 novellas. 2 novellas that are, actually, here we go. 2 novellas and 1 fan guide reference. And I will get into all that, but I also have other series. And I started this thing. I started a long time ago in Trad Pub, back in the 80s. And then I started my first self-publishing thing in 2009 or 2010 when everything kind of started. And I was putting out standalones, and it was crickets. Standalones books did not make any movement, did not sell. And then finally in 2013, I put out my first series. It was a trilogy, and I finally started to make something from $100 a month to low 4 figures. And then later on, I finally hit the jackpot with this series. Now, before we go into all the details, the next thing I want you to know is I am a wide author. There's nothing wrong with being an Amazon-only, Kindle Unlimited author. They're doing great. They are raking it in. My business choice was done back in 2010, where I believe I tried Kindle Select for a while, and I said, you know what, I want to go wide because I want to reach everyone I can in the world. And my little keyword here, or like a tip for you, is to be wide with a vengeance. In other words, you are not just wide, you are as wide as you can be. You're trying everything because you are juggling multiple plates to keep your promo going as you're writing that 1 book or fewer than 1 book a year. So what you're going to do is, for example, you're going to be spinning plates in the air, and you're just constantly moving. You may be going to do things like social media, TikTok. You're going to go into audiobooks. You're going to look into things like subsidiary rights and foreign rights. Highly recommend getting an IP lawyer, not an agent. That's if you're a trad pop, sure, agent. But an IP lawyer works for you, strictly for you, and they can look and vet all your contracts. So an IP lawyer is a great thing to have. Then you're going to expand out to swag. You're going to have fan things like I have a Zazzle store where I sell things like this shirt, which has covers of my books. I have T-shirts, mugs, and so on. So get yourself a swag store. It's so easy. It's just nothing. There's also Cafe Press and many, many others. You're going to also do things like have seasonal giveaways for fans. So just get a reason for a giveaway and use it. Build and grow your newsletter mailing list. You need a mailing list. I'm sure you've gone to other panels where people tell you, get that newsletter going, get that mailing list. Yes, you have to have it because those are your permanent, your super fans. And you keep building it up, and it gets easier and easier with time. Now, other things you may want to look into. Invest in personal assistants, editors, beta readers, street teams. And update your website, because your website is the first stop for the readers to know who the heck you are. Why should they care? Why should they try your books? Yes, they may have found you through Amazon or some other vendor site, but they need to find your home landing page. So look into a very, very good, professional-looking website. It can be cheap. It can be done by your friend, but as long as it looks good, that's what matters. So wide with a vengeance. Do everything you can. Branch out. Get swag. Go to conventions. Socialize. And there's so many more things we'll cover in the case study. Next thing I want you to understand is that there are ads, and you all know about ads. Facebook ads, Amazon ads, BookBub ads, maybe things even like Twitter, but right now I wouldn't go near Twitter. So there are all these ads, and you need to know about them. I have made my living without ads. I have not been running ads for the last however years since my first things took off in 2013. So I started to do ads only this year, and I took the Brian Cohen's ad challenge, which was wonderful to get you on the first level. I also bought the Mark Dawson's course, which is the SPF formula course. And between the two of them, because I'm so wide that I don't even like one instructor. I want wide instructors. So I got myself multiple perspectives on how to do ads, and I'm going through it right now. I'm a ad newbie, so this is not part of my current, it will be my future strategy incorporated, but it hasn't been up to now. So you're gonna look into classes, get yourself familiar with people like David Gaughran. Learn all you can, be a sponge, go on the Facebook groups like Wide for the Win, which is one of my favorite places. Wide for the Win is for authors who are not just on Amazon, but their goal is to be everywhere. And then of course, 20 books to 50K. Yes, that's huge. That's your big, big one-stop place for everything. So the other thing is, if you're gonna be considering being a one-book-a-year author, if you have a partner, you're lucky. I am a single woman. I'm not saying anything, but it's hard to keep a residence. It's hard not to have a spouse or some significant other to share that financial burden. So if you can look into some family member or even a partnership to help you, especially when you're starting out. So what you want to do is get that kind of support at home to get you going, and you're going to be prepared for all kinds of emergencies. As I get into my case study, I had a health emergency which pulled me back down last year. From 2020, I did great. And then 2011, because I had surgery, and it's like I was out for most of the year. So it's a yo-yo. When you're borderline like this, one year is a good year, then you may have a really bad year. So if you can do this, get yourself health insurance if possible. Look into different organizations offer writers health insurance. So if you don't have it on your own, look into it, because you will need it. You will need health insurance. Take care of your health, your diet, get your decent sleep, because you're the only person there, and you're writing really slowly, so you need to be okay to do it. What you're gonna do, a very, very good way to get those fans initially and to keep them is to serialize books on places like Wattpad. You've heard of Wattpad. It's kind of like Kindle Vella. It's a huge international website that allows you to post like a chapter regular basis of your work. And it's free, it's non-exclusive, unlike Kindle Vella, which kind of is. So I'm on Wattpad. I started out there in, I think, 2015 or so, and I built up to over 60,000 followers and readers on Wattpad. And that was a big reason of how I kind of picked up steam. So Wattpad is wonderful. But it requires, again, attention, consistency. You have to answer comments, hang out. It's another social media site. Get those super fans. Yeah, easier said than done, right? We all want to get super fans. Well, how do you get them? Make your books kind of irresistibly chock full of the unforgettable, is what I call it. Things like immersive world building. I'm a science fiction, science fiction and fantasy are my core genres. So world building, we geek out on that. So do fantasy authors. World building, tantalizing character conflict, page-turning storyline with cliffhanger chapter structure. This is what I tend to do. I have huge, huge books, but they go by really fast because each chapter I make kind of like a cliffhanger ending, and even scene level. Each scene is sort of like a cliffhanger. So it's a page turner all throughout, and it doesn't matter that it's a doorstopper book. People will get hooked. Now, what you want to do also with the world building, it makes things unforgettable. When you have a lot of rich detail in your story, people tend to remember it better. And there's nothing wrong with bare bone, clean prose, but sometimes it just goes by and it comes out and it's gone for the reader. So you want to kind of get them with that weird, interesting detail. Get a BookBub. Easier said than done. Those of you who don't know what a BookBub is a deal newsletter with more than 1 million customer base of hungry readers. And it's the gold standard for authors. I am sure most of you have heard of BookBub. Now, if you can land a deal, you can submit every month and just keep at it. Keep submitting. Do not ever give up. People have given up. Some people have gotten a BookBub like on their 90th try. Every month, submit those books, and they can make your career. One BookBub can make a difference. The effectiveness was much better like in the earlier days, but it's still there. BookBubs still make a difference. So if you can, keep submitting for that BookBub. And you can not only do it with one single book, you can do box sets, multiple book combos like book 1 and 2, bundle them together, make it a box set, send it to BookBub if they reject the other combination. So just give them combos. Then, this is my big method of promotion and just keeping the funnel going. I write series and I keep book 1 free. It's perma-free. It's permanently free, and it's free on every single vendor out there. Qualify is the first book. You can pick it up on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Google Play, Apple, Smashwords, Draft to Digital, Overdrive, Scribd, every possible venue, and going back to Wide with a Vengeance. I want it to be out there. It's also an audiobook through Tantor Media, which is a trad pub, but they're great. It's out in, I think they even have CD editions, so it's like not only just audio, but like CD on Audible and every other international vendor. So get it out there. Get your ebooks to be free, because ebooks can suck in your reader, and then they may buy other editions, because I'm talking about the sell-through, but the other editions of that same book. So a reader may get your first book for free, enjoy it so much that they go and buy a trade paperback of the same book, and a trade hardcover, and an audiobook, and they do it for me. A lot of my readers have multiple editions of the same books, okay? So when you go perma-free, people say perma-free doesn't work anymore. Well, guess what? I'm sorry, they're wrong. It does work. It's not as effective, but it still works. Give it time. Give it at least 6 months. If you give it less than that, it doesn't even go into the system. All the algorithms of the different vendors take time, months or more, to get the book into their system. So go perma-free and give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Take it out, give it a price, and you're back to selling. But give it time and give it a chance. Do whatever works. Wide with a Vengeance. When you promote just the first book. Don't waste your energy. You have so much to do because you're juggling so many plates and you're writing that one book. Don't bother with each new release. Send that to your new mailing list, to your current fans, because they are the ones who care about it. The people who care about the first book will be your new readers. So keep promoting book 1. That's all I ever do. I promote nothing but the first books of all my series. All of them are perma-free. They're the sales funnel. What you're going to do is, as I said, promote new releases to existing fans. New fans get first book. You're going to optimize the book's front and back matter. This is the built-in selling feature to your book. So if somebody downloads a freebie and they look at it and they like it, they're going to see in the beginning, in the contents area, above contents or right around there, you're going to have a link to your next book, to your mailing list, and you're going to see maybe a little kind of a description. Here's my fan website, my link tree, something right there on the front matter. And the back matter. When the book is done, don't just say the end. In fact, I don't say the end. I say things like, last paragraph, the end of book 1, the next book, the story continues in book 2, blah, blah, blah. And the link, and I have a cover. I actually have a physical cover and a text link right at the end. So they can click through right there and then and buy that book. And so the link never stops. The funnel is churning and pulling on those sell-through people. And after that, then I have like a page break or something that gives me the about the author. I have a list of all the different books by me, with different, again, everything's linked. And you can do this if you're wide. I would use some kind of a universal linking thing like book links, something like that, from draft to digital is what I use. There's many, many of them. So you link to whatever platform they're at, and if you don't want to do all the work, just do a universal link. The next thing is you want to have a professional package. You all know this. I don't need to tell you how to do this. You've gone to other presentations. Get your wonderful looking cover, genre appropriate with the right color scheme and the right fonts, and so it doesn't look like it doesn't belong in that genre. You need to have a cleanly formatted interior, error-free. Some errors are okay because every book has errors, you know that. But you can always upload, revise, and so on and so forth. So just get it as clean and as professional as you can. Then what you're going to do is you're going to branch it out. Once you have a series that's taking off, that's doing really excitingly well for you, and you're thinking, okay, this is it, that's the one, then what you're going to do is you're going to expand on it. You're going to branch out on that series. This is where you go deep, okay? This is where you're going to dive deep and double down on the series. What I mean by that is you're going to have prequel series. You're going to have affiliated series of characters that are maybe a fan favorite character and they can take off, and you create just a series just for that side character. So you literally never give up on your world. Think of big franchises like Star Wars, or there's Star Trek and the tech. They have so many connecting things going with them. That's part of the reason they're so big. It's not just because they're popular, but because they keep adding to the universe from every direction. So you think of your popular series as your starting point to grow it like a big tree with all these cool branches. Each branch has some kind of other thing connected to it. So once your readers are sucked in, they can never leave. You have them for the rest of their existence. I know a few other authors who have this kind of like branded universe, and one of them is Michael Anderle, who has a very, his Cutherian Gambit and so on, and there's others, who have a very, very kind of a branched out, expanded, and even co-writers, people who work with you to share that world. But anyway, so expand, and you need to go as deep and as wide as possible in terms of content, connection to your readers, the type of books that you have. Check your genres, because all of us, we don't know what we're doing at first. We write what we like, or we think that's what we like, but maybe we end up writing something slightly off, slightly different genre. But find out what it is. It may take you several years as you're building that basic baseline backlist to kind of keep you afloat, because that's the part that as you add more books, you can add fewer and fewer books as you go. With each year, you have more books bringing in that trickle, 20 books to 50K. That's the truth of the formula. Sometimes it's not 20 books. For me, it's like I have 12 full novels. Four novels are what's my bread and butter, and I have the other ones are like two 3-book series, and they're just 10% of my income. So this is 90%. This stuff is 90%. Now I'm going to into the case study, in other words, give you more detail of what I'm actually doing. So personal case study, my series and structure. It's called The Atlantis Grail. In a nutshell, it's The Hunger Games meets Ancient Aliens. It's science fiction, but it's cross-genre, which means I can draw in more readers. I have female readers who love romance. I have male readers who love military science fiction. I have astrophysicist readers who love the science. I have history geeks who love ancient artifacts. So this series has it all. There are mysteries, twists, adventure. There's family bonds. There are, love stories, hot hunks and all kinds of good stuff that, goodies for the reader to latch onto. And if some people latch onto different things, and that's a part of like having that depth of immersion in your world. So my main series is the Atlantis Grail, four books that are currently published. It's a complete story arc. However, I have a fifth book planned that's going to deal with events like 5 years later after the end of the last book, sort of like the chapter in Harry Potter's the afterword or whatever. It's like 20 years later. But so there's another book planned for the main series. I also am working on a prequel series that goes in with expanding wide. The prequel series takes place 12,500 years ago in the ancient Atlantean past, because this is the history of Atlantis a la Ancient Aliens. Then I have a series, the prequel series is called Dawn of the Atlantis Grail. Then I have a series of tag novellas, TAG, or the Atlantis Grail, tag novellas. And I have, they're open-ended series of different characters with favorite character POVs. Little, they're actually around 40K, which according to Science Fiction Writers Association is like technically a novel, but they're novellas. I market them as novellas. So my genre is, as I said, it's core science fiction, but it's true cross-genre, and you can think of something like Outlander with Diana Gabaldon, who has, time travel romance, but that's her core genre. She also has all these other things in it. So that gets you a really wide audience and appeal. Other secondary genres in this case study: YA dystopian, romance and relationship drama, space opera, thriller, action-adventure, historical mystery, ancient Egypt and Greece in the vein of Ancient Aliens, hard science fiction, and I had to talk to a NASA astrophysicist to get those things down. Interesting alien acoustic-based technology and astrophysics, modern-day impending apocalyptic disaster, so it's disaster fiction. Teen training camp, academy, alien first contact, time travel, culture clash, military science fiction and war, conflict with mysterious, terrifying aliens, military SEAL team missions. I used to watch SEAL team, and I have SEAL team missions going on. So, talking about jumping genres. Glittering court politics and culture, imperial court, beautiful costumes, ladies in dresses, things romance readers are gonna love this. Zero gravity dances on arc ships in space, the appeal of competitions. I have the games of the Atlantis Grail, which is the core of the story. They're life and death games, like elements of the Squid Game, the Hunger Games, the Great Race, and problem solving. The main character is not just a kick-ass. She's a nerd, she's an awkward, smart girl, and she solves things by her brains. So she is never going to be the person who defeats the enemy. She's going to be the person who accidentally pulls down the pants of the enemy and makes them trip, and she somehow manages to survive. So there's a lot of funny stuff in there, because I also write humor, but this is not a funny series. So there are other series and standalones I mentioned. I have an epic historical Renaissance fantasy it's called Cobweb Bride. It's the Hades and Persephone retelling in the Renaissance, making me like 5% of my income, not really doing that great. I have Jane Austen, humorous horror. I used to do, if you guys heard of, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, I wrote Mansfield Park and Mummies, Northanger Abbey and Angels and Dragons, and Pride and Platypus. Don't judge me. I've done it all. It did okay, but not enough to make a living. So all those things together, plus a few other collections, nonfiction essays. I've done things even like your astrological, signs, stuff like that. So just kind of fun books that are together making about 10% of my income. This is 90%. This one series. So, tropes. What are the tropes that are really strong in this series? Found family and family in general. The main character's goal is to survive this apocalypse and to save her family. And that's what she does. All she does is she thinks how to save her family. And, of course, there's relationships, there's survival, the games. There's enemies to lovers, so for the romance fans, there's a powerful, powerful love story going throughout. So people go absolutely insane with the love story in here. there is a Cinderella element in book 2, I would say. So yeah, it has all these different tropes. Spice levels. Now, this is originally I intended it as YA. It evolved, so it started out with just slow burn, tension, innuendo, touching and kissing, a little bit here and there. Then several steamy open door scenes in the book, but not very explicit in the 4th book. So as the character who starts out being 16 ends up being over 18, she grows, and so do the things in her life, just like real life. Fan base. What is my fan base right now? It's intended for older YA, but in reality, I have a lot of like over 50 people who are young, female, old, female, male, medium age, any kind of kids, adults, everyone. So this is a really kind of a popular appeal series. Now, what is my writing method? I kind of mentioned it earlier that I go deep into world building. I am a pantser. That's part of the reason why I don't write fast. Those of you who are planners and outliners, you have an advantage because you can sit down, plan out the points, and you can be very organized and get those books out fast. I can't do that. I wish I could. I want to be you. I'm a pantser. I write by the seat of my pants, and it takes me a long time. Now, as opposed to a plotter, which that's the outliner, this story kind of dies for me if I don't do it. I'll try to outline, which I have, doesn't work. I get bored. The story kills me. I kill it. We're done. So what I do instead is I think of goalpost markers. That's the only way to keep me directed, moving forward. So they're goalposts through the mist, and there's sort of a final destination, and I try to get there as fast as I can, but I can't. It's so slow. And what I do is I surprise myself, and I think that kind of works to surprise the readers too, so it does help things. The next step I do is I write 1,000 to 2,000 words a day on the average, but I don't write every day. I can't. I have to do promo. So it's crazy. It gets really, really intense, but if I'm in a production mode, about 2,000 words a day. I do write really clean first drafts. I do rolling edits, which means that I write something, and then I come back the next day, I go through it, clean it up. I can't just do a quick draft. So by the time I'm done, it's very clean. So the editing process, I have betas and editors and first readers. They help me out, and my editors go through it. They can get this thing done in about a week or two, and I'm done. I literally can release within 2 weeks of finishing the book. Now, some people think that's bad. You know what? Sorry, it works for me. If you write differently, great. This is how my method is. So I write really slowly, but I clean it up real well towards the end. So the type of wordage that I put out, book 1, I think my smallest book is 176,000 words. That's my shortest book. That's the second book. Terrible, I know. My biggest book, on the other hand, is 356,000 words. And it's 1,039 pages. And yeah, there it is. But on the other hand, this book, when it was out on the second day of 2020, it earned 40,000 in 1 month. And it had a very, very long tail. So the long tail is what gets you through. So you hit it out of the park, each one. Writing structure, as I said, page turner chapters, cliffhanger endings, not a truth cliffhanger, because cliffhangers are annoying, but there's that series arc, the overall story cliffhanger. First person, present tense narrator, twists and turns. I have tons of twists and turns all along. And part of it is because I'm surprising myself. I go, whoa, that's cool. And I keep the twist, and I keep going. So twists and turns are on the way, and I ground the reader. I give a clear setting. That's why I go deep on world building. I give you good, solid description. If you're going to skip the description, some people don't like descriptions. Well, you know what? You're going to miss out on some of this. But you can. You're a reader. So I'm going to, let's see how much time we have. Yeah, I got to keep going faster and faster, and you guys can read some of this on the presentation. Deep immersion. Don't be afraid to go deep, because intricate world building and descriptions is what make it memorable. Your characters will stay with you and the reader as you make them that way. You give them the classic sense of wonder that makes the setting resonate, and Every little mundane detail is not taken for granted. Everything matters, what you put in. So it's just because it's a big doorstopper. Every little thing matters in here. It all is a part of the story. You can, my little secret tip is pretend you're an alien POV, point of view, looking at everything on Earth with curious, amazed eyes. Nothing is mundane, so you give them that color. And a quick example, and you can read this later on, but very simple, clean prose. I step outside the airlock and attach my harness to the nearest rung on the hull. I've got a job to do. That's one way to say it. Here's what maybe I would write, something like, I step outside the airlock and immediately freeze. A sudden blast of vertigo hits me. The immense void and the field of stars that seems to slowly spin out around me like a tiny hive of fireflies. No, it's all in my head. Must focus. Focus on the coarse feel of the thick glove, my fingers stiff and cumbersome as I attach my harness to the nearest gleaming rung on the hull. It's all that's keeping me from hurtling outward into the void. Another instant of mindless, visceral terror. No, don't think. Just move onward. Move coward. You've got a job to do. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with the first example. It's clean, easy prose, but it doesn't stay with you. A lot of people write like the first example. It's perfectly good, but if you want that deep immersion and to keep those readers stuck, they will remember the example number 2. Maybe it takes a little longer to read through, but they will remember it. So commonly we're told not to do info dumps, and info dumps are not great, but sometimes you can get away with it because you're explaining something that's so interesting, so fascinating, so alien, that the readers will stick around with you. Nothing is a no. You can try, and if you can break the rules, you can break those rules. So, yes, show, don't tell, but sometimes you can tell. And sometimes you break that rule, and your info dump is a thing of wonder. You're going to make the reader look at the world with the ordinary world with new eyes, that alien POV, and you're going to apply this method to your science fiction world building. And mix it up. Sometimes you use pure action, like that first example, the clean sentence with no description. And then the next sentence could be rich. So mix it up to give them that kind of a zing of curiosity. Don't ever bore your reader with the same thing. You don't want to have their attention wandering off. Now, deep character building via theme. What I do is I put a lot of importance on family. In my stories, family bonds matter. I have, think of like Vin Diesel and the Fast and the Furious, the family. But I've been doing it for a long, long time, and it seems to make the readers care a lot more if there was no family involved. So I have 4 siblings and the main character, and they look out after each other, and things matter to all of them. And they save each other, and it's a glue that keeps them together. Plus a mother who is dying from cancer. So there's a lot of things going on with family. Of course, there's a powerful love story, friendships, emotional relationships. This is what keeps your readers emotionally charged, and they become your super fans. Because if you just go quickly and just kind of have secondary characters that do little but echo chamber your main character's voice, they will be forgotten. So you want to make them real, and you want to give them their own little stories. And that's how you get subplots and very thick books. And what you want to do is follow your characters. Engaged readers will follow your characters anywhere, be it a battle, a black hole, a nest of alien monsters, a political court assembly, a romantic, intimate exchange, or the most boring place like the DMV waiting room. So they will follow you if you make them care. Now, this doesn't mean you want to be gushing on every page, but you want to give them something to kind of latch onto. Give the character arc an injustice, an inequity, something that needs to be resolved. Give the characters a burning need for closure in one or more of their relationships, and that keeps the story arc going, and it keeps the book arc going. So closure is very, very important. Justice to be served. Justice can happen in book 4 or 3 or whatever along the way. So keep that thread. It's a part of your arc, the greater series arc. And that's the secret sauce that binds your readers to you. Now, quickly, how much time? We have sales history. I'm a hybrid writer, mostly self-pub right now. In 1985, I started to publish traditionally. I have 50 short stories, some audiobooks, and I already mentioned it. So currently, I make my living from And you can see this in the presentation. Ebooks, mostly ebooks, in all the different vendors, about 60% of my income. And 70% of that right now is from Amazon. It goes up and down, or it's anywhere from 60 to 70% from Amazon. Paper print, about 20%. Hardcover, trade paperback. And that's from Ingram. So I use Ingram Lightning Source, which was around before Spark. So I'm not a Spark Ingram. I'm like an old fogey Ingram Lightning Source member. Audiobooks, that's my traditional part right now. And I have a film option. I've been optioning, this series has been optioned for film, and my producer has bought it originally in 2018. Then, of course, we had 2020, and Hollywood went to bed and just stayed dead and inactive for all that time. So it's happening. Things are moving along. But I get regular re-optioning. The producer pays me several four figures every time, so every year I get something. So that's another part of the income, that other extra additional subsidiary rights, other rights. And then I have my breakdown is 12 doorstopper novels, and all, like I said, all of them over 100,000. These are huge, for my core. I have 4 novellas in book form, 2 short fiction collections back in my traditional days. Overall, 50 short stories, 4 miscellaneous, including self-help, inspirational humor. That's part of my baseline income. That's the stuff that keeps the 1 book a year possible. And I have 3 miscellaneous other things. I can't even remember what they are. It's up on my website. You guys can, if you care, you can look at it. Now, self-publishing history timeline. And I want to be very, very quick here. Paper print, 2006. I started my own small press, Norilana Books. I published some classics, so that's part of my baseline too, but it's tiny right now. It's tiny. My books are what really are my bread and butter. Then in 2014, this started. And I'm going to skip here, and we have book 2. I set it to perma-free after book 2 came out. So I didn't immediately perma-free, obviously. That makes no sense. So book 2 came out. I set book 1 to perma-free, and I lived on book 2. And that was 2015, book 2. 2018, I sold the film option to 4 or 5 productions. 2019, I sold audiobook rights to all the books. 2020 had my first 6-figure year. Before that, it was medium to high 5 figures. And currently, I'm back down because after my lovely 6-figure year, and during that 6-figure year, I hit like #1 on Apple, on many good orange banners on Amazon, 40K for this one book. 3-digit rank on Amazon. Never hit any of the USA Today or other bestseller lists. Never even tried. Was financially wiped out. Emergency. Major surgery. 2020, my brain was in a haze, but at least I was making money through this release. 2021, surgery, sick, not able to do anything. Right now, I'm recovering, so it's up in the air. I'm hoping for a high 5-figure, maybe a little higher. We'll see. We don't know. But my release schedule, 2014, book 1, 2015, book 2, 2017, book 3, and they're getting bigger and bigger. And this is taking longer and longer. And finally, January 2020 was Survive, the last book. Now, then in March of 2021, I've been living off a novella for you. That's even sadder. Like, this was keeping me afloat last year. Just this one little novella. But I'm sorry, I'm cheating. I actually had a fan guide. So I had an actual novella and a compilation guide released in December of last year. So 2 books, but they're both not really novels or like full books. And this year, I've been living off this novella. So as I'm writing the prequel series, another huge book. So release strategy. We have 5 minutes. I do a lot of let's see, quick draft. Let me skip. Again, you guys can read this because unfortunately we have only 5 minutes. I need to take some questions. Promotion strategy, new release, only to my fan base, to the mailing list. Pricing strategy, I price pretty high. I price anywhere from $4.99 to $7.99 because, huge books. Novellas, $4.99. Box sets, $8.99 to $9.99. Regular maintenance promo is what I wish we had a little more time, but I'm going to quickly say that book one is perma-free. I do deal newsletters. I'm wide everywhere, and I use things like, of course, if I can get BookBub, Free Booksy, Book Barbarian, Kindle Nation Daily, Fussy Librarian, ENT, FKBT, Read Freely, Book Soda, OHFB, et cetera, et cetera. You know about the deal newsletters. That's what been my big promo strategy in terms of putting out money to get this back. Mailing list, only new releases. Advertising, no ads, I already mentioned that. I'm learning ads. I'm a clueless newbie with ads. So Wattpad got me going with all these other little fans, and then they followed me onto Amazon and they started to buy. Cliffhangers, my fan base, 3 minutes. Addicted readers. People read over and over and over, and I have all my social media is mentioned here. I actually have a convention. There's TagCon. That's how intense the readers are. They read the books up to 70 times, and they have a convention. They have multiple fan groups and social media. It's all on this presentation. Now, we're almost done. So if there's any 2 minutes or 3 minutes questions, or we're done? 2 minutes. If anybody has any quick questions, and I really wish we had more time because this is a lot of stuff here. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And I'm going blah, 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 blah. Hi.
Yanin, you said that you were using something that was the same as Kindle Vella, but I didn't catch the name.
Wattpad, like the bulb wattage, W-A-T-T
okay.
pad, Wattpad.
Any tips for marketing something that's so cross-genre? Yeah.
Well, what you want to do is, first of all, look at your categories on Amazon or anywhere, whatever your 7 key categories are. Figure out which one you want to focus on, and then see if you can find comp authors in those categories. And then when you write, when you do your deal letters, if there's any way to cross-reference that genre, focus on that core genre with those key, the comp authors.
How much time do you spend on social media promoting your stuff?
I do a lot of it, but it's kind of gasping for air as I'm trying to do everything else. So TikTok, I just, throughout the day, I have my phone, something dings, or I'm on the computer. I just check periodically. Like I'm writing along, I have 2 hours of writing time, and then I just, okay, let me just check quickly. I'll answer an email or answer. So it's all throughout, but I have no specific regular set time, which maybe I should, but I just don't. That's too much things to do, too many things to do. So,
how did you see the establishment of your fans turn into like con level? Like, what part did you have in any of that?
It was mostly on Facebook, and I have a fan group on Pro Boards, and we started those fan groups, and more people gravitated. And some of them came from Wattpad. So Wattpad, Facebook, nothing on Twitter, although I have presence. Nothing on TikTok, I'm expanding. But Facebook, Pro Boards, Wattpad, and organic readers from Amazon and so forth. So they just came together.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think we have 1 minute and 19 seconds to go. So if there's any other questions or no other questions, I welcome everyone to just read through this thing. It's long. I don't have a presentation for you, but it does give you some more detail here. So hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much, everyone. Good luck.